Well, we invited back into your homes for another week. Welcome back to week two of the Golden Aces Nation podcast. Kyle Peach, along with the Hall of Famer, the Hall of Fame voice of the Golden Aces, Scott Allen. And Scott, coming off that week one loss, this young Aces football team to a very talented, loaded Gibson Southern team coached by Nick Hart. And the final score there was 42-6. Mount Carmel looked to be threatening on their opening drive, stopped inches from the goal line, scored a touchdown late. I'm always interested in your take on what you saw out of this Golden Aces team on night one.
Well, I tell you what, really, at the end of that first drive for Mount Carmel, I'd already written down in the books. I don't care what happens the rest of the night. We accomplished a lot of stuff with that one drive. We knew it was going to be tough. At Gibson Southern, they're in the top five. They've got a lot of kids back. They're a two platoon team. It was 91 degrees at game time. And here we are up against that mighty force. And so the fact that when we were fresh with them before the heat wilted us, yeah, you're right. We gave up a kickoff return that was kind of a goofy thing to start the season, but then we took the ball and drove 80 yards. Excuse me, but we drove 79.8 yards and just ended up oh so close. But the way we worked the offense, I think we were almost flawless. The way we ran the plays, the holes were opening, so the line was making the plays. And how about the way Shane Metter? I'm sorry about that. Shane Metter ran the offense. Tobias Phillip ran the football, and really everything we did was just about flawless. So, yeah, you're right. The rest of the night it was a little bit of a struggle. We did score late, but man, what a job these young kids did. I think in many ways it was a victory. I mean, I don't, it's not going to look like a victory anywhere else, but the fact is, when we were fresh, when we were their equals, we moved the ball and ran an offense very well on Gibson Southern of all teams. So, that's what I took away from it anyway.
Yeah, I did as well. We're going to have some growing pains this year. We've got only five seniors on the roster, three of which are starters. Some of them making their first starts in their career. Shane Metter to a new
Yeah.
position. We had so many different things. Maybe one of the most rebooted Aces teams in recent memory, and yet they did show some prowess. Held their own at times. Shane Metter threw a touchdown pass, completing two passes he threw, one for a touchdown, 73 total yards through the air on those completions, rushing the football, 136 yards on 38 carries, just under 4 yards per carry. You do that more times than not, you're going to convert into first down situations. So, yeah, the score was a lot lopsided. But at the scheme of things, going into the adversity we faced, you got to like kind of where things are right now. You can't be thrilled with it. I'm sure you're not. I'm sure Michael Brewer isn't, but week one is behind us. You learn a lot from that. Can we get better heading into week two? That's the big question.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure the coaches picked apart every play and found a lot of stuff probably. And the fact is, they're a young team. So, they're nowhere near where they're going to be. But I was I was impressed with the way we moved the ball. It's almost as if you could see our coaching staff going, hey, maybe we can move along a little quicker than we thought. Let's hope that's the case. That the way they kind of did their first level stuff, the simple stuff, running the football, everything else, because it's such a young team. They got a playbook that isn't going to get taxed all year with this young bunch. I mean, they'll bring them along and put more things in each week, but for the base level stuff that they had installed for week one, the kids ran the ball. I ran it pretty well, I thought. So we'll see. We've got to get to at this level. We've got to perfect this level before we can move on. So, but let's just wait and see. Let's hope the weather isn't as I know it's going to be a little bit warm on Friday night. Let's hope it isn't as bad as it was in the opener. Effingham, the Flaming Hearts, of course, first time ever to Mount Carmel. They're going to be starstruck by that grand stadium that we have. Let's hope it plays a factor like it does with so many visitors when they first arrive. We'll see how many kids are out there taking pictures during the pregame, like usual. So, and let's hope that accounts for something. And I don't know. Can Effingham be as good as it gets from Southern? Well, they're trending up generally, but I can't imagine us playing a tougher team than we did on week one anyway. So we'll see what happens in the second week.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I'm going to make a point every week during the football season. My goal is to have a lineman shout out because the linemen don't surely get enough credit as we're broadcasting the games and pretty much in any respect. So I've got to shout out our center, the young man who made his first start of his football life at the varsity level, a freshman starting at center, Keegan Linson, the 5'11", 215-pound lineman, number 70, I believe, in your hearts and in your programs there. He was really good. We didn't see a fumbled snap all night, and his blocking up front, watching the game back again, he did a really good job for a freshman. So you got to give him a shout out up there on the line and trying to battle through a lot of that adversity that we talked about on Friday night. Looking at some other stats from that game, our leading rusher in terms of yards was Eric Akery with 52 yards on 12 carries. Shane Metter from the quarterback spot, 12 carries, 49 yards. Tobias Fulop, 3 for 12. And Sodeleki Militoni, 3 for 12 as well on the ground. Jackson Kling in his Aces debut, the sophomore, 4 carries for 9 yards. And then Tobias Fulop caught both receptions, 73 yards and a touchdown. So there's that. There's a lot of things to obviously be happy with, a lot of things that I'm sure that the team is going to work on heading into week two. And week two is that tall task of Effingham, the Flaming Hearts coming into town, a 4A team. They're coming in after a 1-0 start. They picked up a win at Robinson in a high scoring affair. I believe that final, what was it? 54 to 30 was the final. Effingham over Robinson. So there's our week two and week three opponents back to back. 54 points Robinson or Effingham puts up in week one. They're going to be a load.
Well, I feel a lot better about our opportunities now after watching last week's game, to be honest with you, too. So, and I realize, and I think our kids, they learned a little bit up front. You were talking about Keegan Linson. Yeah, what a marvelous job. And then you take, you've got Reed Stinson, the returnee up there, but you got guys like Jackson Kling and all these other, and they all had to kind of mesh together. That's what made that first drive so wonderful to see all these, not just the fact that we're young and we but we're really young. I mean, a freshman at center has to coordinate with his guard and tackle. I mean, I think there's a lot to be positive about, and I realize the coaches may have to reach a little bit for that, and they'll make it seem that way anyway when they talk to the kids. But I don't know. I think we're going to be okay against Effingham on Friday night, so we'll see.
Some names to watch for the Flaming Hearts heading into that one. Brett Hefner, their head coach. They're off to that 1-0 start. They've got a junior quarterback in Max Buzzard. He just threw 4 times. So this is going to be a ground and pound style game, it appears. They only threw 4 times, but scored what? 54 points? That's crazy. 200 and let's see, yardage wise, just 10 yards, I should say, passing the football. It was ground and pound for them most of the night. Weldon Dunston, a senior running back, 26 carries, 255 yards. He had 5 rushing touchdowns. That's the guy to circle on your program. That's who we're going to need to stop. In fact, he had 255 of their 300 rushing yards on the night. So those are really the key people to watch for the Flaming Hearts coming into the Snake Pit on Friday night. And historically, Mount Carmel has defended the run pretty well.
Yeah, and really, it tells us a little bit about Robinson as well. They had how many points? 30 in that ball game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what that says about Robinson's offense or Effingham. I guess we're going to find out. That's the neat thing about these early season matchups. You just don't know. You can parse the numbers all you want and everything else, and begin to it's going to take longer than 2 weeks to begin to assume anything out of these numbers, but. So, we pretty well had Robinson's number last year in offense, could not be stopped against the Maroons. And it sounds like Effingham could not be stopped against the Maroons. So we'll wait and see what Robinson's done to improve their defense. But it sounds like Effingham had their way, and it sounds like maybe that we'll be able to. So who knows? Yeah, this may be a high scoring affair, or we're probably going to do a little better job against Effingham than Robinson did on defense. So let's just see what happens here in week two.
Yeah, so ground and pound with Effingham. Early preview on Robinson from the folks we know in their broadcast booth up there. Robinson likes to throw the ball this year, so we'll see how that plays out. But don't forget to join us for our broadcast of that game. It'll be on WSJD Radio with a 1-hour pregame show starting at 6. The game kicks off at 7 o'clock, live stream on the News Channel 15 YouTube page. for free. Again, that video stream this week. Before we get away from football, want to let you hear from Aces coach Michael Brewer, his post-game interview following the Aces loss at Gibson Southern last Friday night.
I thought, in the early on when we were fresh, I thought we did a pretty good job offensively moving the football. That first possession was really good. It was, unfortunate that we got down there and kind of had a hiccup and, didn't get positive yardage, and then set us up there, and it ended up being like 3rd and 6, I think, 3rd and 7. And so, I think Shane ended up on the 1. So it was unfortunate we couldn't get that thing finished off and punched in. I thought that was good. I thought, we were just the tempo and all that, right, with like what was it, eight guys maybe going both ways. It caught up to us pretty quickly. And
then running that no huddle that they did.
And again we knew they were going to do it. Yeah, that wasn't no surprise. I don't know. They're a good team. Credit to them. They do a nice job defensively. I think they thought their defense is on a really nice trajectory. So again, early on we were fresh. We moved it, and we moved it after that. And then there was a couple of times you have a penalty or, you have a negative play or whatever else. And so if this is the style of football we're going to play, we can't be backed up. We can't be behind the sticks. We got to get 2, 3, 4 yards each time, and so you're not backed up. But there were some positives, but just look at the scoreboard and you're sick. So.
Yeah. But so what about Shane Metter, his first start?
I thought Shane did an excellent job. His first start, playing quarterback and just doing some of the option stuff like an under center, the footwork, the reads. There was a lot there, for a guy that's not been a quarterback. I thought. You can talk about a bright spot. Shane was excellent tonight. Yeah. I thought he did a really, really good job.
Yeah, and your running game in general? I mean, you gained a lot of yards tonight. I think we outgained Gibson Southern, I think.
Well, it felt like offensively we were doing okay and we were moving the ball. I mean, again, like you can't have a penalty. You can't go backward when you're doing that. Their defense is too fast and too good about getting downhill and all that good stuff. So again, it felt like we were moving it, and then we just kind of stall out. So. I think there's some bright spots there on offense. Hard to say when you have 6 points on the board, but man, I thought we made progress this week. We I think we did get better defensively. We got to figure out. We're gonna have to. I guess I don't know. Figure out more bodies we can play or something. But dealing with the heat this week and that kind of thing. So maybe next week will be a little cooler. Maybe that'll help us a little bit.
Well, Coach, comment about next week, home opener, Effingham.
Yeah, exactly. So we're excited. It's always fun to play at the friendly confines. So we just talk. Our message is the same as it was last week. We have to get better. We have to get better every week. Starting 3 sophomores on defense. We're starting how many sophomores on offense? A couple, and a freshman. And we're young. We have to get better every week. And if we're not doing that, we're wasting weeks. We're in trouble. So these first 2 are tough. These first 2 games are difficult, and we knew that. And so we've talked about it. We got to push through this and be ready to go. We'll do everything we can do next week and game plan it. And but these first 2, again, those are probably the 2 toughest on the schedule. So we're healthy. That's big. So we're gonna go back to work and we're gonna get better and we're gonna see where this thing can take us.
Michael Brewer's thoughts following the loss for the Aces at Gibson Southern on Friday night. Again, 7:00 for the kickoff on Friday night against Effingham, home opener, and boy, is it going to be fun for a lot of reasons. One, it is the first event, the first official game for the Aces at the completely finished, rehabbed, renovated Riverview Stadium, including the big unveil of the new concession locker room complex known as Legends Fieldhouse. It should be a fun night to explore that.
Yep. Boy, looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to be able to buy popcorn again at a home football game. So that'll be, I'll use that concession stand, but I'm interested to see the multi-purpose room and everything else, how it looked like it was going to be wonderful. I have yet to see with it furnished and everything else. So I'm looking forward to that too on Friday. So the first official date where it's finally done, there's no cones, no construction, no lifts out around or anything, right?
I don't believe so. You'll be able to park wherever you park down on the stadium level, and you'll be able to walk on a solid surface if you so choose, all the way in from the parking lot to the gates to the seats. Solid surface, lots of fun things to explore, including the Stadium Plaza with all the bricks that people purchased, the commemorative bricks, finding those. Should be a special night, Friday night at the Snake Pit.
Yeah, and since we're on a podcast here, let me officially thank you for being involved, and Kevin Madden and everybody else for getting that brick in my name on that walkway. I appreciate that. That was a sure surprise anyway. One of many there. There's a whole bunch of bricks for everybody that's had a part in this, and so looking forward to that. And now Aces fans can, like I said, be on my Facebook post. They can walk all over me in perpetuity now. So there you go.
There you go. Glad to do that. It wouldn't be an Aces thing without your name on it. So glad to have you having a brick down there. Quickly looking back to scores from last week, then we'll wrap up football from week 1 involving Little Illini Conference teams. Olney gets a win over Taylorville 43-38. Another high-scoring affair. Shelbyville beats Newton 42-28. Casey blanks Red Hill, but really only 24-0. I'm a little surprised that wasn't more. Effingham over Robinson, as we told you, 54-30. Marshall gets a win over Trenton Westland 27-21. And Paris falls to North Vermilion 42-13. So the conference, including the Aces, goes 3-4 in week 1 in non-league play.
Well, and who did Marshall beat?
Trenton Westland.
Yeah, nice win for Marshall. We're glad to see the Lions kind of bouncing back maybe this year, huh? That'd be nice.
Yeah, good to see them. They'll make their first trip to the Snake Pit later this season. Hard to believe. In year 3 of the LIZ, Marshall will come for the first time. Some other scores around Golden Aces Nation to let you know about from this past week. Since we last talked to you last Thursday, the JV football team beat El Dorado on Monday night in an overtime thriller, 14-6. Volleyball lost to Edwards County Thursday. Get this score, though, 22-25, 27-25, 24-26. It was a hotly contested all 3 games played down at Mount Carmel grade school because the high school had no air and the heat was oppressive. And then Saturday, the Lady Aces volleyball team competed at the Fairfield tournament. They fell in straight sets to NCOE. They beat Chester 2-0. They beat Mount Vernon, Illinois 2-0. They beat Oblong 2-0, and then fell to Newton in their final game. Again, 2-1 there, losing 13-15 in that final set. And then bounce back Tuesday of this week to beat Oblong in straight sets 2-0. Mount Carmel's volleyball team now 4-4 on the campaign.
Yeah, they got some impressive wins even over the Mount Vernon team in that invite. So how about that for the Lady Aces? Doing well out of the gate.
Talking golf, no boys golf action. They are scheduled to be at Fairfield. Actually, we're at Fairfield. We're taping this on a Wednesday. They were at Fairfield Tuesday. I've yet to come across that score. So, hey, Aces Nation, when you come across Mount Carmel scores, make sure Scott or I or both get a hold of those. But hope the Aces did well. They've had a strong start to the season. Mount Carmel's girls tennis team lost their opener to Carmi yesterday, 6-3. And you know more about this cross-country Aces team. They opened up in...
Well, Matt McCarty is in charge of cross-country at the Hilltop this year. Matt, what led to the decision process? I know you're at the school now too, so made it easy call for you, huh?
Yeah, I've done junior high the last 2 years, and then the high school job opened up, and my son has ran for me the last 2 years, and so it was a pretty easy decision to throw my name in the hat to go up to the high school, and I ended up getting him to come up with all of his buddies that I've had the last couple of years, and I've convinced my daughter and a couple of her friends to join. So we have a nice little cross country group now at the high school.
Well, I got to tell you, your son is already running cross country and is old enough, so that's an amazing feat in the first place, man. You were just a little kid, a tall little kid when that I remember, but and now you've got your own coming up. That's great.
Yeah.
So about how many kids total do you have then between the 2 programs?
Oh man, between the 2 programs, we are I don't know the exact number, but we're in between 40 and 50 kids for junior high and high school right now.
That's great. So how many in the high school then?
The high school has 21.
21.
21 kids, yeah.
How about that? That's something. So what's your workout schedule like with those 2 groups then?
Well, we're lucky enough we can practice together a little bit. the high school will run a little bit farther more days than the junior high kids, and I can kind of run them around town and stuff like that to where they can get their miles in and stuff like that. And the junior high we kind of keep closer to the school, just because they're not quite old enough to run with the high schoolers all over town yet. But yeah, so luckily we're able to practice both teams together.
So, Matt, where do you have your home meets? Is it the same location it's been for a while out there at Froman Park, or?
No, it's not at Froman Park anymore. It's actually over by the levee, over by the JFL fields.
Okay, well, that's how much
So
I know. See, I'm getting old. There you go.
yeah,
And
I don't know when they moved it over, but I know the last couple of years it's been
okay,
they run up the levee and around the JFL field and stuff like that.
so the length is still about for a high school layout, still 3.1, 3.2, something like that, or?
Yeah, ours comes out right at 3 miles.
Okay, okay. So, how many miles do you guys have? I know the older kids are probably going further, but how much do you work out per day? What's the distance on that?
Well, we have our shorter runs and our longer runs. Say this week with them having their first meet, they're probably going to be around the 10-mile range for this week. I try to give them a day off or two here and there throughout the week as well, so they have some fresh legs. But we share athletes with other sports. Like I've got a couple girls that play tennis, and I've got a girl that plays volleyball, and I've got a boy that plays soccer. So we're sharing kids with other sports. So we don't have everybody there. So when we do have everybody there, I try not to overdo it, because obviously you want to keep kids interested and want them to keep coming back. So we're normally about, our long runs right now are only about 3 or 4 miles, but that's going to start ticking up as the season kind of goes along, and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Well, then let me ask another question real quick before we get into we'll talk about the team a little bit here. So, what is tapering like in cross country when it gets time for the bigger meets?
I mean,
Is it something is that something that happens in cross country? I'm assuming you taper a little bit, or
I
not
mean,
really?
a little bit. For
Okay.
me, I'm still learning a little bit. Junior high, I just kind of did my own thing. High school, I'm learning a lot more.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
So I haven't really gotten into that yet. But that'll be
Well,
coming up
and keep in
before the end of
mind,
the season.
I'm going at this blind, not trying to, because I know we did in swimming, but boy, those could be two completely different sports as far as I know. So there you
Yeah.
go. Well, hey, Matt, take us through your team, your high school team, and who we got, and tell us a little bit about the kids.
Okay, so I've got 2 senior girls. They're the only seniors on the team. It's Molly Haggerty. I believe this is her 4th year running. I think she's ran all 4 years of high school. And then I have Gabby Peach. This is her 1st year running. Both do really well. Really enjoy having both of them on the team. Especially Molly. She's kind of been around. So I'm going to some of these meets for the first time, and she's ran them 3 or 4 times already.
Yeah,
And so it's real nice to have that kind of leadership with the team.
almost a coach on the team. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Then when we get down to juniors, I believe I have 4 junior girls. Yep, 4 junior girls, all 4 their 1st year running. So pretty excited about having them on the team
Yeah.
for
Yep.
get them to learn, and they're all basketball girls too. So they're getting some basketball conditioning in as well with
Well,
this.
yep. Coaches are happy there all the
Yes,
time.
they are. Yes, they are. And then I've got 1 junior boy, Blake Strine. He's my only junior boy. He's the oldest boy on the team. This is his 1st year. Oh, I didn't say my 4 junior girls' names. We have Evie Knapp, Tinley Davis, Emma Mayhew, and Madeline Mann.
Okay.
When we go down to the sophomore group, I have 4 sophomore girls. All 4. No, I'm sorry. Danny has ran before. Danny ran for me as an 8th grader when I down at the junior high, and so this is her 2nd year on the high school team. So kind of like Molly,
Yep.
she's one of the elders on the team and can really help us when we get to meets and kind of show us the ropes and stuff. And I got Tessa DeWitt, Riley Hershey, and Maddie Riggs. A couple more basketball girls on there. And Tessa's a cheerleader, so that's another girl that's a dual sport athlete here.
Yeah.
Then when we come to sophomore boys, I have 3 sophomore boys, all 3 their 1st year running as well. I have Talon Rafferty, Caden Milan, and Brody Peach. Caden is the soccer player. He's the other dual sport boy that we
Okay.
got.
Mm-hmm.
And when we come to freshmen, I have one freshman girl, Zoe Randall. She actually went to the state tournament for me last year as an 8th grader and placed really well. If my memory serves me right, I think she came in 60th place
Wow.
at the state tournament, so pretty big. And then freshman boys, I have 6 freshman boys. 5 of them ran for me as 8th graders last year, and the other one ran at St. Mary's in Allendale
Mhm.
all through school. But they are Elias Knapp, Isaiah Glenn, TJ Singh, Harley Schmittler, Colin Stoneberger, and Wade Keepus.
Wow. So you've had quite a group come with you from the middle school on then. Okay.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
So Matt, tell us what kind of schedule you got. I know we used to have one meet a year, or a home meet a year. Do you still have a home meet or two?
Yeah, we have one home meet.
Okay.
It's going to be towards the end of the season.
Okay.
I actually believe it's the last race before conference, or it's the last race before regional, but it's towards the end in October sometime.
Okay. So what about the LIC? How many teams have cross country in the conference?
I believe all of them have cross
All of them.
country.
Good. Good.
Coming from the junior high level, I know Alany has a really strong running program.
Mhm.
Um, And then some of these other schools, we don't see a whole lot of them
Mhm.
in junior high. So really interested to kind of see what they look like. But we'll see some of them soon. We start the season off with 2 races over in Indiana, and we're the only Illinois school over there.
Mhm.
So we haven't ran into any other Illinois schools just yet. So just
Yeah.
kind of seeing what Indiana has to offer right now.
Yeah, it seems like there was an Ellen Hopewell invite over in at Gibson Southern. Do you guys still run that or?
Yep, that's
Oh,
actually coming up Thursday.
oh, okay, okay, good. Yeah, I remember Alan is a great guy. But so that's one of your meets. Any other big invites that you know of during the year on either side of the
Um,
river?
we got one in Alny coming up.
Hmm.
Robinson hosts a big one every year. That'd be another LIC school that was pretty good that
Hmm.
we saw in junior high. Um, and
Who's
then
got
we
the
have
conference meet this year?
yeah, we got the conference meet.
Who hosts that this year?
Well, I
Is it-
believe Marshall's hosting it, but we're actually going to Terre Haute to run in it.
Oh, okay.
So, conference full of Illinois schools, but we're going to go running over in Terre Haute, Indiana. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that's okay. So, so take us through. I mean, so how tough is it when you've got all these kids going different directions, and it's a necessary evil in this day and age. I know to have kids playing different sports, but is it a little tougher to communicate with them, to keep tabs on them? Do you guys, what do you just have little group text threads, or I mean,
Yeah, I've got a group text for the boys and the girls team.
yeah,
We've started a Facebook page, so we
oh,
try to
there you
get as
go.
many parents on there as possible, and try to push out the info as much as we can at practice through the group text on Facebook, whatever we can.
Yeah, so that's how it works nowadays. All right,
Yeah.
well, good. Hey, so tell me about you now. So here you are. You've had stuff going in your fall. Obviously, you have stuff going in your wintertime. What about spring? Does Matt McCarty get a season off, or
Yeah, Matt McCarty takes the spring off from sports, and um, I use that to kind of get ready for summer basketball.
yeah? Because then you got that. You're going all over the place during the summer, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
we travel a lot in June, and Justin Carpenter and I host a little kids basketball camp
Oh,
for
great.
kindergarten through 8th grade that we run. So we kind of take that time off and get ready for camp and get a summer schedule ready, and just kind of relax.
All right. Well, we got to make sure you get rested too now, because man, coaches really sometimes can have it tough, and they do certainly during the seasons. So you need your time off too, huh?
Hmm.
All
Yeah,
right, Matt. Hey, this won't be the last time we talk with you. I hope you'll come back and
yeah,
talk about more cross country and other sports as well throughout this year. I know we'll talk with you a little bit this winter too. So,
yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. One of the really nice things is, you know, I am off a lot coaching and everything, but luckily my wife is actually my assistant coach for cross country,
Oh, okay. There you go. Okay.
which helped a lot on Saturday when I'm trying to get the girls up to the start line, and she was able to go to the boys and make sure they got their bibs on and stuff like that. And she was able to collect kind of that kind of stuff while I was at the finish line trying to cheer on the girls and stuff like that. So that's been a huge help, and it's nice bonding time for us too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Great for
It's
you
just
two
a
to be
big
involved.
family
Yeah.
ordeal, and I got my wife as assistant coach. I got two of my kids running, and so it's
All
a good
right.
time.
Well, we'll be talking to Matt McCarty, giving us a cross country preview in 30 years with a relationship like that. That's great. Now, I may not be the one doing it, but well, maybe somebody else will. Hey, Matt, thanks for the time. We appreciate her.
Hey, thank you very much, Scott.
That is Matt McCarty in his first year at the Hilltop, but not his first year as a cross country coach. And he's enjoying it. What great numbers they've got. Holy moly. So that's a good sign for the future for Aces cross country.
Talking a lot about a lot of youth across all the sports, it seems, at Mount Carmel
Mhm.
High School this year. So love to see that the future is bright. Matt McCarty, thanks for the time. Of course, Coach McCarty, the head coach of the girls basketball team, where they
Yep.
expect big things too this upcoming season. Speaking of upcoming, how about the schedule for things ahead this week in Golden Aces Nation? The JV football team plays at Effingham on Monday night. Girls golf playing today as we tape this on a Wednesday at Marion. Thursday, they're at Mount Vernon, Indiana. And next Wednesday, they're at Olney. Boys golf is at Olney today as we speak. And then they had a game match at Carmi that was canceled for Thursday. They will be at the Olney Invite on Friday. So 2 trips to Olney this week. And then Tuesday, they'll be at Lawrenceville. Cross country Thursday at Gibson Southern. Girls tennis taking on Fairfield next Tuesday. And actually, I should say they'll be at Newton next Tuesday as well. Soccer, the Aces at Olney Thursday, Saturday at Massac County, and Tuesday against Robinson next week. The volleyball team plays at the Richland County Tournament on Saturday, and Monday they are back home to take on Vincennes Reveille. And good luck to the Junior Aces football team. They will have their home opener against Casey on Saturday at Riverview Stadium. That's a look at a busy upcoming schedule
Yep.
for the Aces Nation.
Oh, Lady Aces golf team in Marion. I wonder if they play Cocopelli, that course down there. A nice little challenging Southern Illinois course.
They
One
need
of the
they
best.
need to find a way to be challenged because there hasn't been
Yeah.
much to challenge that group in years, right? So
Yeah,
keep it rolling, Lady Aces.
let's hope the dynasty continues, man.
That's right. Well, that's what we've got coming up. That's what we've had taking place, and obviously this is my favorite part of the show. And I didn't let Scott really prep anything this week because I wanted to ask him some questions about things gone by.
Okay,
We're gonna
that's fine.
beat if you've got something prepped, we'll go with it. But
Well, hey, we're going to run this show TFN. I'll have plenty
yeah.
of chances to get it up, so no problem.
No,
Just go right
we'll
ahead.
get your story in too. But what I wanted to ask about, because I don't know that many people know, is how you ended up coming from Eastern Illinois University, a Peoria native, to Mount Carmel. Tell us the story about how you ended up coming to be the voice of the Aces.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I'm from Peoria and I went to school at Eastern Illinois, Charleston, and I pretty well knew by the time I got to college that I was going to get involved in radio. I actually entered Eastern in pre-med as a preferred course of study. My dad was a doctor, my mom was a nurse. They met over an operating table. I still probably feel bad for that patient, whoever that was, and mom and dad are throwing googly eyes at each other. And I hope the guy survived anyway. But that's a whole nother story. But anyway, so that's how they met. So here, offspring Scott goes to Eastern, and so I ended up going to a meeting in February of my freshman year, the radio club on like a Tuesday, and by Saturday I was on the air. So that's how quick it was. That's probably the best way to train people in the end is throw them in the water. But so anyway, so I continued to work there. In 1976, I got my first job at Eastern Illinois at the Charleston local station. But the very first night I was on at Eastern, here's the name thing too. The very first night I was on at Eastern, I was a DJ, and I used my real name. didn't know anything else to do, and I guess I made somebody mad. I didn't play their song or whatever because at 3 a.m. the next morning, I'm in my dorm room at Eastern, and the phone rings, and some person is reaming me out because I didn't play their song. And they found my name in the student directory. So I go, that's it, no more real names. So the next night, I actually used my name, the name Scott Allen, and it's ever stayed in there. But I eventually, so what's the story about the owner of the local station at that time was John Hurlbut. His son Dave bought the station from his parents, so anyway, I was an employee there, and then a new owner took over in 1979. And I still remember that wore a 10-gallon hat. This guy did, mostly a champagne gentleman. And he proceeded to line us up like we were his slaves, and we're right in a row. And he went down the line to us, shook our hands, and he got to me and he says, "So you do sports?" And I go, "Yes." And he goes, "Guess who's going to be your color man this year at Eastern Illinois football," which I'd done for 3 or 4 years. And I said, "Who's that?" And he goes, "Dick Butkus." And I go, "Dick Butkus is going to do color for Eastern Illinois University football." Dick Butkus. I didn't believe it from the word go. And he says, "Sure enough." And you know what? That, needless to say, that never happened. Um, so Dick Butkus he'd probably been to Charleston, but he was a U of I guy. Why would he end up in Charleston? So anyway, so I knew it was time to go. So it was time to go, and I came down to Dave had been calling me, going, "Hey, come on down. We'd love to hire you down here." And I'd never been to Mount Carmel. I'd heard of it, but yeah, finally, I just go, "Yes, I'll come down." And and I thought I'd be here for 2 or 3 years and do whatever other good radio person does, and go to the next market up or whatever and play the game. But I'm not built that way. I enjoy small town service, and fell in love with Mount Carmel, and I hit the market at the right time. I mean, one Mount Carmel's had some of their golden times there between the Warriors going to Hutchinson and battling tooth and nail, and the Aces winning the state championship in 1981, and so on and so forth. So I picked a good time to land in Mount Carmel, and so I just love small town service and just stayed, to be honest with you.
And so tell me what was the first Mount Carmel High School athletic event you were on the call of? Do you remember?
Well, actually, because the first one I was on the call of was actually a Wabash Valley game, and
Okay.
it was that following Monday. It was the first day I started, and it was on my birthday. So I actually did a Wabash Valley game on the very first night.
There you go.
And so it's probably that next Friday I did an Aces game. But yeah, it sort of been late 1979. So I
Starting in
missed the 79
basketball, right?
season.
Yeah.
And I tell you the other quick story too. This may have been the one that you were aiming at too. So I actually interviewed for the job in Mount Carmel the day that Mount Carmel played Charleston in the playoffs in 1979, second round of the playoffs, I think it was. Yeah, hey, first round. Anyway, so I came down to here to interview it, and so Dave and I held our little session, and I did the ball games for Charleston. I did the Trojan games for 4 years, and so that night I was sitting there at Riverview Stadium in the old double deck press box there. Two press boxes ago, right? Is that right? Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
Yeah. Hard to
Okay.
believe that. We're on our
Yeah,
third.
two press boxes ago. And I knew that I was going to take the job. I was smart enough. I never commit to a job on the spot. As, "Hey, let me think about it." But I kind of knew I was going to do it. And that was also the night that Mount Carmel had the misfortune of facing a really loaded Chuck Buddy coach Charleston team. And we went to the semifinals that year in 1979, the Trojans I'm talking about. Played a very young sophomore quarterback, John Rafferty. Maybe you've heard that name a little bit. His story was yet to come, his big stories in Mount Carmel, but he was just a sophomore then. And Charleston handled him pretty easily, as I recall. So, but I knew that night that I was going to, and so I was during the game. I'm sitting there hooping and hollering for Charleston, of course, but paying real close attention to Mount Carmel because I knew that was going to be my next team. And sure enough, I said yes the next day, and then I actually started doing football in 1980. And so, and of course, I was already Scott Allen by them. I hadn't been using my real name in 7 years, 4 years at that point. So, anyway, so that's a little bit about how I got down here. Anyway,
Crazy to think. So if you're ever on Jeopardy and Scott Allen comes up as a buzz-in category, Scott Allen's first gig was at Riverview Stadium was not as announcer for Mount Carmel. He was the announcer for the other team,
yeah,
which
the
is
Charleston
this is a
Trojans, and they, in fact,
crazy story.
Charleston went to the semifinals 3 straight years back in the 16 team tournament days. By the way, now 77, 78, and 79, and we just could not get over the hump. And interesting, Charleston was beaten by Mascoutah that year in the semifinals. And of course, by 1980, here's Mount Carmel. Did we play? We didn't play Mascoutah in 1980, but we surely played them soon after that, and became well. We played them 2 or 3 times over the course of times, but I always thought of that too. But anyway, so it was those are great times at Charleston too, but even better at Mount Carmel, and I've been there forever since then. So.
We're glad that move happened, and glad you met the Hurlbuts way back then too. I don't know that I even knew that the Hurlbuts owned the Charleston station.
Yep.
Is that what that I didn't know that. I
Yep.
don't think I knew that part of the story. So I always learn something when we get together. That's
There you
great.
go.
So what did you have prepared tonight, by the way? Let's do it.
I was going to talk about an incident that happened, and Kyle knows the story. So here, I'll clue in the rest of you guys here online here. One night we played at Salem, and the only mistake that I guess I made, well, one of the mistakes, oh, Lord knows I made mistakes, but one of them I made that night was we did not have the gear with the announcers. We had an employee, great gentleman. I'm not going to say his name, but we all know, some of us insiders know who he is. Great guy. But anyway, so he
May
said,
or may
I know the
not
way to
work as a
Salem. I can
state
get there, no
trooper,
problem.
right?
I'll take the gear.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, he didn't know the way to Salem, and he lost his way. And so, meanwhile, we show up, we're ready to go, but there's no gear. And of course, Salem and Mount Carmel were always, more times than not, both 4-0, and it was the game of the year in the conference. We were at Salem in the old days when that stair step went straight up there by the stadium. And so now it's game time, and we still don't have any gear. So the only thing we think to do is we borrowed somebody's car in the old days of the bag phones that were planted on the deck of the car and in between the seats in the front row. So it wasn't a portable unit. You had to reach down. And I turned on the Salem radio station, believe it or not, very low so you couldn't hear that I was listening to them. And I kind of recreated the game while on our bag phone, while I'm sitting in the car listening to the radio in the other car. So to make a long story short, Mount Carmel scores on their first drive. We're still recreating the game. And the Salem guys, of course, they didn't know the team like we did. They credited the touchdown to a lineman. And then luckily at the time, as I'm listening to this and kind of a 2 or 3 second delay before I repeat what they're kind of saying on the air, I go, that's not a guy that's going to score the touchdown. So I kind of gave us a name. Luckily, I guessed right because I had no idea. I'm sitting behind a fence and you can't see the field or anything. And to make a long story short, we scampered up the stairs at some point at break, maybe halftime, and then got on the air with our gear. And that was just radio in those days, no TV back in those days. But so, yep, I guess I can say I've recreated some Aces football then. So
yeah, there you go. And the best part of the story, that what makes you the Hall of Famer is you hear something without being able to see it, know it's wrong, and pick the right guy at the end of the day to credit the touchdown to.
Probably got lucky on that because we used to run a lot of 2 and 3 back offenses back then. So, but yeah, it was. But I still remember that night. It was funny. And by the way, since then we've always kept the gear with the announce team.
Yeah, there you go. Things we learn along the way.
Yeah.
We will only recreate about 2% of what you hear on our next broadcast on Friday night, we hope, from Riverview Stadium, 7 o'clock for the Mount Carmel Effingham kickoff, the 1-hour pregame on WSJD Radio at 6, the News Channel 15 live stream on YouTube. Scott, as always, it's been fun, and I look forward to doing this every Thursday with you from here till the end.
There you go. Well, we're all going to try to endeavor to do that and keep on a regular basis. And we'll be lining up other interviews and stuff as we go along too. So we can't wait to see how this evolves as we go.
It'll be fun. Join us every Thursday and help us out. Spread the word that the Golden
Yep.
Aces Nation podcast is out there. Like our Facebook page, subscribe on YouTube, share the content. We want to get the word out that we're out there. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.